What's going on, guys? I'm Scott and welcome to another brand spanking new Fudge Muppet Fallout 4 build. This is a very special build that has been requested a lot and we know you're going to love it. This is our Mad Max build, the Road Warrior, the ultimate survivor. Though he travels alone, no one who crosses him lives to talk of it. He was once an honourable man of the law, but after being subjected to intense trauma and tragedy, he was broken beyond repair. He shrugs off the obligation to protect and only looks out for number one. In the harsh remains of the Commonwealth with no one to talk to but himself, the Road Warrior is left to ponder who is more crazy, him or everyone else. This build is very well rounded, and as a grizzled veteran of the police force and the front lines of war, he can deal with any situation thrown his way. Whether that be from range or close quarters, the Road Warrior is a deadly foe. Accompanied only by his canine companion, he wanders the wasteland, living one day at a time. For all your building needs, check out the description of the video. There you'll be able to find all the timestamps which will help you navigate between the sections of the build. So first up, we have the backstory. The Road Warrior was born into a standard middle-class family just outside the urban expanses of Boston. He was a stereotypical young boy. He loved bloody cartoons and playing with action figures. One Christmas, his parents bought him a yellow tricycle with red and blue racing stripes called the Interceptor, and he was infatuated. He would patrol the streets of his area, flying at high speeds in pursuit of the notorious neighborhood cat. Not very much changed as he grew older. He substituted the little tricycle for a black mountain bike, but his head was still brimming with fantasies of chasing criminals and having his face on the front page of the Boston Bugle. Despite being lost in his own world for the majority of his schooling days, the Road Warrior had fallen in love with a girl from the high school band. He wasn't particularly into music, but the girl on the saxophone had caught his attention and he refused to let go. When the Road Warrior graduated high school, he wasted no time before applying to join the Cambridge Police Department. His passion and commitment soon had him excelling through the ranks, and he became one of the department's most coveted field officers. He developed quite a reputation in one of his first arrests. He was the closest officer to reports of a volatile situation unfolding just outside Cambridge. A man in his mid-30s, accompanied by a red-haired girl, had stolen a black car and were speeding down busy suburban streets, wrecking cars and causing several casualties. The Road Warrior barreled after the suspect. He knew prudence wasn't an option and had to act impulsively without hesitation. He rammed the man in the black car at top speed in an attempt to pacify him and force him from the road. The car was sent wheeling out of control before coming to a sudden halt as it collided with a telegraph pole. He was commended for his quick thinking, preventing the rampage from progressing. As tensions developed in the ongoing conflict with China, he was called up to serve with the US National Guard, tasked with upholding America's domestic defense efforts. This eventually led to him being dispatched for a short tour on the front lines in Alaska, but as unrest grew on the home front, he was soon returned thanks to his peacekeeping and crime-fighting prowess. Since his school life ended, the Road Warrior had served his city and his country ceaselessly, dedicated to his duties. He had an ingrained sense of obligation to protecting the people around him. Upon learning of his high school sweetheart's pregnancy, he decided it was time for a change. He knew he had a family to look after and he no longer felt comfortable putting his life on the line every day on the job. He had worried relentlessly that his chief would be disappointed, but was relieved when his superior had only wished him the best. The chief had told him to piss off back to Sanctuary to watch his Sprog grow up. He laughed and shook the chief's hand. After this, he decided that Sprog was a funny nickname for his unborn boy, though to his dismay, his wife hadn't let him put it on Sean's birth certificate. It seemed to the Road Warrior that this was the time in his life when the stress evaporated and he was left to cherish his family in the tranquil solitude of Sanctuary Hills. Unfortunately, everything was not as it seemed, and that pipe dream was short-lived. On October 23, 2077, him and his family were hurried to Vault 111 as atomic annihilation descended on Boston. The Road Warrior had been a kind-hearted man with honorable intentions, but the loss of his loved ones had shattered him. He loses the will to choose the righteous path. The ruins of Boston had malformed into everything he had once fought to prevent. Order no longer seemed to exist, and the majority of its new inhabitants were out for blood. He is hunted by those who live and haunted by those he could not protect. He's a shell of a man he once was, and his foremost priority now is survival. He has little hope for the future. He believes hope is a mistake that leads only to insanity. When he ventures out into the wasteland, his temperament is out of control. He despises Kellogg for what happened and cannot shake the image from his head. The vision slowly drives him crazy. Kellogg looks like a common thug from a motorcycle gang, the type of person he would arrest by the dozen before the war. The Road Warrior vows to exact bloody vengeance on him and those involved in the murder of his family. He soon learns of the Institute's involvement with Kellogg and as a result decides to join the railroad. He isn't invested in the railroad's morals and motivations, but the enemy of his enemy is his friend. Despite his lack of interest in the affairs of the new superpowers, the Road Warrior is willing to help the railroad deal with the Brotherhood as well. Even though he takes little satisfaction from the process, he thinks it can't hurt to put an end to them. They have a lot of resources and influence, and he cynically believes that they could use this power in sinister ways. After achieving revenge, he is left with very little direction and becomes a traveler roving the tattered streets of Boston. Now let's talk statistics. At the start of the game, the Road Warrior's special stats are 5 strength, 3 perception, 8 endurance, 4 charisma, 4 intelligence, 1 agility, and 3 luck. The bonus point from the special book in Sean's room goes into endurance for some added survivability. The Road Warrior is a sturdy all-rounder. What he lacks in agility, he makes up for across the board. After all, he is more inclined to tackle his problems head-on rather than opting for stealth. He has been in life or death situations more times than he can count over the years, and he's got all the qualifications to withstand whatever may happen. One thing that is often thrown at him is a fist, and his 5 points of strength will be enough to go toe-to-toe with the nastiest of adversaries. He also knows how to use a gun proficiently. That's a given for the Road Warrior, who served in the police force and the National Guard, frequently in the face of danger. Endurance is the man's biggest asset. He may not be behind the wheel where he feels most comfortable, but that doesn't detract from his overall durability. Not many officers can boast a track record as dangerous as his, yet he persevered and was never severely injured in the line of duty. With the special book, his endurance clocks in at 9 points, giving him ample health in all scenarios. After the events in the vault, he changed significantly. Any shred of optimism was left frozen in the cryo chamber. Charisma won't be helping him through the Commonwealth. He is reserved and keeps to himself, only showing affection to his new life companion, Dogmeat. 4 points of charisma will ensure he reaps the benefits of a lone life on the road with his canine friend. Despite being no brainiac, the Road Warrior has the intelligence required for a practical life in the Force and the National Guard. He has a firm understanding of military skills ranging from repair and maintenance to medicine and computer literacy. The life of a wanderer has its benefits, as the majority of the population were blown to smithereens or transformed into senseless monstrosities. The spoils of the wasteland are just waiting to be looted. With 3 points of luck, he will find plenty of treasure in his travels. The Road Warrior owns the streets of the Commonwealth and needs no assistance staying alive, so let's get into the essential perks. As we mentioned earlier, he isn't afraid to get up close and personal, and in order to dispatch of his enemies up close, you'll want to invest in the Big Leagues perk from the Strength stat tree. At rank 5, this perk will make attacks with a melee weapon deal twice the damage, as well as giving them a chance to cripple or disarm. As an added bonus, you'll get a unique option to execute a devastating Grand Slam, decapitating the unlucky chump on the receiving end. Also, from the Strength skill line are the Armorer and Blacksmith perks. In order to stay fully equipped in the Wasteland, the Road Warrior puts the junk he collects in his travels to good use, forging melee weapons and armor enhancements. For those times when charging headlong into the fray isn't ideal, we have the Rifleman perk. Shots with his rifle deal out double damage, ignore 30% of the target's armor, and have an 8% chance to cripple a limb. Also, from Perception, you'll want to take 3 ranks of Locksmith. While picking locks isn't exactly the most noble skill, different rules apply in the Wasteland, and the Road Warrior will abandon some morality if it ups his odds of survival. 3 ranks will ensure he is capable of picking all locks he stumbles upon. Since the tragic passing of his wife at the hands of Kellogg, the Road Warrior has chosen to face the world alone. Human interaction no longer appeals to him unless it's absolutely necessary, and what better reason to invest in the Lone Wanderer perk? Taking the first 3 ranks of this will grant an increased carry rate of 100 pounds and make you take 30% less damage and make you deal 25% more, all when traveling alone. And don't fret, because the advantages stay in effect when accompanied by Dogmeat. On that note, the other charisma-based perk to take is Attack Dog. Maxing this stat means Dogmeat can hold enemies, temporarily improving your VATS accuracy. While holding them, there's also a chance that he'll cripple a limb or cause bleeding. There's also a 4th rank of Attack Dog now, which Nuka World added, making you take 10% less damage while traveling with your dog. That means this build is actually going to take 40% less damage. That's almost half of enemy damage being negated. As we know, the Road Warrior picked up some nifty skills in the armed forces, and weapon maintenance was one of the things they took very seriously. With the Gun Nut perk, he will take the assorted junk he finds on his journeys and turn them into valuable weapon augmentations. We suggest taking all levels of this to open the door to every mod available for each of the guns in his diverse arsenal. Another aspect of military service takes shape in the Hacker perk. 3 ranks of this means no terminal is too complex for him. Lastly, from the intelligence line is Medic. Dropping 1 perk point here will add a bit more potency to Stimpaks and Radaway, 40% more to be exact. From agility, you'll want to completely invest in the Gunslinger perk. At rank 5, this means double damage for non-automatic pistols, with an 8% chance to disarm and an 8% chance to cripple the designated limb. As for luck, you can't go wrong with 3 levels of Fortune Finder and Scrounger perks. These will increase the amount of caps and ammo you discover in containers. And last but not least, we have the Bloody Mess perk. Aside from the obvious feeling of gratification when your attacks lead to explosions of guts and gore, this perk is also useful for its flexibility in all circumstances with all weapons. All damage dealt will be boosted by a salacious 15%. Not including gear, but including all bobbleheads, the Road Warrior's endgame special stats will be 6 strength, 4 perception, 10 endurance, 5 charisma, 5 intelligence, 2 agility, and 4 luck. With a build this adaptable, there are tons of possibilities for gear choice. During the early to mid game, you'll want to get your hands on road leathers and basic leather or metal armor pieces. Opting for damaged, rusted, or weathered armor combinations rather than high-tech alternatives will suit the Road Warrior aesthetic the best. The ideal apparel doesn't change much in the end game. Stick to the classic road leathers, but use armorer to craft the sturdiest armor pieces possible. It's a very mismatched, improvised style, so feel free to dabble in whatever pieces best support the post-apocalyptic wasteland look to you. Adding welding goggles may also provide some variation while driving home that iconic Mad Max feel. As for weapons, straight out of the gate, take the 10mm pistol and try to get your hands on a tire iron, sawed-off shotgun, and after finding the railroad, the deliverer with the silencer removed. For the completed build, your ideal choices for melee weapon are Pikmin's Blade or the Disciple's Cutlass. The Cutlass can be obtained with the Nuka World DLC and is utterly unstoppable. Otherwise, Pikmin's Blade can be found in a master-locked wall behind a painting in Pikmin's Gallery, just north of the Railroad HQ. He'll also take Kellogg's 44 revolver with a bladed mod or a scoped mod, and this variant refills your action points on a critical hit, and is one of the Road Warrior's favourite weapons as it allows him to reminisce in taking Kellogg's life. We also recommend holding on to the deliverer with the silencer removed and the sawed-off shotgun, as they are 2 of his most archetypal weapons. With the aid of Gun Nut, these weapons can be made quite deadly. You may even want to rename the fully upgraded sawed-off shotgun the Master Blaster. Lastly, his choice of rifle is the semi-automatic handmade rifle available in the Nuka World expansion. If you don't happen to have access to this, a lever action rifle or even a hunting rifle will suffice. The Road Warrior walks alone and does so with little concern thanks to the Lone Wanderer perk. He won't be taking any human companions for any reason, but will elect to adventure with Dogmeat. The Master and his loyal friend perfectly sums up the Mad Max theme. As for settlements, you won't be worrying about those either. The Road Warrior prefers the nomadic lifestyle, and after everything he's been through, he has no intentions of ever settling down again. And there you have it, guys. This is the Road Warrior, our Mad Max themed Fallout 4 build. We know many of you have been eagerly awaiting this build, and we really hope you enjoyed it. If you love the Road Warrior, give the video a like and share it with your friends. As you know, timestamps and social media links are right here in the description, and be sure to subscribe to get more content just like this. I'm Scott from Fudge Muppet, and I'll see you next time.